How's it going, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be talking about the Nichols v. Newsom case. This is a case that deals with California's open carry laws and has made its way up to the Ninth Circuit and has been heard by a three-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit. And this case came to my attention through very unconventional means, so let's talk about this. I want to give a shout out to one of the new sponsors of the channel, and that is Got Your Six. For just $2.99 a month, you get access to a slew of very beneficial things on their app. This includes up-to-date local, state, and national news that affects your Second Amendment rights, and you have the ability to create small groups for events, get notifications about events. But also a cool feature on this is that through that small group, if your Second Amendment rights were ever violated, like a red flag law, you can simply click a button that says Initiate Freedom, and a notification goes out to all the members of that group, including maybe if you have an attorney in that group. And so it's kind of an Amber Alert for firearms enthusiasts and Second Amendment advocates. So I just want to thank Got Your Six for supporting the channel. If you'd be interested in pre-registering for their app, you can click the link down in the comment section and the details section. So Nichols v. Newsom, this case came to my attention after I put out a video about Young v. Hawaii. And if you don't know what Young v. Hawaii is, you can click this link right here, and it'll take you to some videos that I did about Young v. Hawaii. But Young v. Hawaii is a case that was heard by an en banc panel, and it was a challenge to Hawaii's statute in regards to open carry laws. And so in my last video, I talked about some implications that Young v. Hawaii would have on the state of California, and I mentioned a case that it was pending in a district court in California, and I said there might be some other cases that I'm not aware of that are pending here in the state of California that are challenging our open carry laws. Well, out of that video, and I would say maybe like 2 weeks or a week after I made that video, I was getting sent Instagram DMs and comments about a specific post over on Facebook by a Facebook group page, and these individuals were going after me on this Facebook group page because I didn't discuss this case, Nichols v. Newsom. Now, the post really had nothing to do with anything legitimate. It was just more personal attacks against me. It didn't seem like a lot of people on that group really cared for me. I'm not sure what was going on there, but it seemed like they were more upset because I wasn't giving this case a whole lot of attention. And really it was because I just wasn't aware of this case. It wasn't like I was avoiding this case. You guys are very familiar with me. I practice as an attorney all day, every day. This isn't what I do for a full-time living, so I'm not aware of every single case that it's out there. And I would say that it's probably a better idea to not attack individuals like me who are trying to fight for our Second Amendment rights here in the state of California and trying to support cases like this. It's probably a better idea not to attack me as an individual just because I'm not giving your case attention. Like I said, I just wasn't even aware of it. So with all that said, let's talk about this specific case. So Nichols v. Newsom is a case that challenges California's open carry laws. It challenges not only the handgun open carry laws, but also the rifle and shotgun open carry laws as well. And it deals with loaded and unloaded firearms, because if you're familiar with California's laws, there are various penal codes that deal with loaded firearms and unloaded firearms, loaded and unloaded handguns, loaded and unloaded shotguns and rifles. And it is a very comprehensive attack on California structure. So that's why it's a very interesting case, and it's a good case. And it's also a very interesting and good case because of where it's at as far as its procedure. This case was originally filed all the way back in 2011. So for those of the people who are attacking me from not being aware of this case, keep in mind, I graduated high school in 2010. So this case came out a year after I was out of high school. So that's how far back this case kind of started to come to the forefront. This case was originally Nichols v. Jerry Brown, and then ultimately it was changed over to Nichols v. Newsom because it stuck around so long that the governors changed. It was originally a challenge to the 1967 loaded open carry ban, but then it was later amended to also challenge those unloaded sections that I talked about before. So that's why it's very interesting, because it comprehensively attacks California's structure, not just on loaded aspects, but also unloaded aspects. So it's a very good case because it comprehensively attacks California's structure. So this case went all the way through its procedure, and it's made its way through its procedure completely pro se. So the individual attached to this case, Mr. Nichols, not only is the named plaintiff in this, but he doesn't have an attorney, as I understand, and he's represented himself all the way through up until the Ninth Circuit as well. And he even did oral arguments before the three-judge panel himself. So I'll actually put a link down below in the details section to the three-judge panel oral arguments. I know a lot of you guys like to watch those. There's some videos out there of Mr. Nichols arguing before a three-judge panel in that case. And so if you'd be interested in watching that, you can do so. So oral arguments were heard on this case on February 15th, 2018. So that was when oral arguments were heard last on this case. And since then, this case has pretty much been in a holding pattern. Similar to how Young v. Hawaii was put on a hold waiting for the Supreme Court to see if they were going to decide the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case. This case was put on hold pretty much for the Young v. Hawaii case. Because the Young v. Hawaii case was filed, I believe, like 3 days prior to this Nichols case, Nichols' decision is pretty much dependent on the Young v. Hawaii decision. And so that's why this case is so important and really bounces off my prior videos about Young v. Hawaii and the implications that Young v. Hawaii will have on the state of California. If a favorable decision is issued by the en banc panel in Young v. Hawaii, this will affect this specific case, Nichols v. Newsom, which is attacking California's open carry laws. So that's why we should be really invested in this case. Now, many of you are familiar that Young v. Hawaii had its en banc hearing, oral arguments, September 24, 2020, and now we are just simply waiting for that en banc panel to issue their order. And that wait and see for that order is also affecting this case because this case is still on hold until that order is issued. And like I said, a favorable order in that will directly affect this case and could really benefit California gun owners. And we should also be really invested in this case like I talked about in my last video where I was talking about Young v. Hawaii and some implications it had on the state of California. Open carry is definitely not my preferred means of carry. I have my concealed carry and I'm in a county that will issue concealed carry, but there are a lot of individuals in various counties here in the state of California who can't get their CCW permits because their county or city simply just do not issue the permits. Discretion is completely left up to the sheriff's department and the city PDs to whether or not they're going to issue CCW. So a lot of people find themselves in situations where they just simply can't get them. But if a decision in this case, Nichols v. Newsom, were in our benefit, that would mean that people would at least have the option to open carry a pistol or open carry a revolver or open carry maybe even a rifle or shotgun. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that, but at least they would have some sort of option to have a firearm if they wanted to. So even more so here in the state of California, we should be really anticipating what happens in Young v. Hawaii because we have a case that's already teed up, has been heard by a 3-judge panel in the 9th Circuit, and now we're just simply waiting to see what happens in Young v. Hawaii, and it could really benefit us down the road. So like I said, this case came to me through unconventional means. I wasn't a big fan about, of course, some of the things that were being said about me. Like I said, I just simply wasn't aware of this case. I don't think that there's been a whole lot of coverage of this case, especially because it's been hanging around for so long. But I definitely don't have any ill will, and I know that people are passionate about this subject, especially if they're attached to it. Because like me, I'm very passionate about our Second Amendment rights here in the state of California. So I would get it if you're attached to this case and a lot of people weren't talking about it. And even someone like me who has a big platform isn't necessarily talking about it. And my goal with this channel is always to advocate for people's Second Amendment rights and especially bring awareness about what's going on here in the state of California in regards to Second Amendment rights. So that's why I thought it was necessary once I was aware of this case to make a video about it. And I'll also put a link down the details to a page that I found that I believe is associated to this case. It talks about the open carry laws. I think it's run by the individual, the plaintiff in this case. I think there's an ability for you guys to donate to this case because, like I said, I believe he's doing this completely pro se. If you'd be interested in donating to that page, feel free to do so. So if you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and you'd like to support the channel, one of the best ways you can do that is join the Patreon page, and I'll put a link down below in the details to the Patreon page. Also, just like, comment, and subscribing, and make sure you hit that notification bell because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment, also helps spread the word about various infringements that are going on by the state of California. So as always, thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.